This is a very, very careful kind of an operation, and it does take time. It's true. We wish that it was, sooner. We could have done it in a faster manner, but we don't do that because we understand that we are dealing with a mixed populated area with lots of civilians, and we do not want, to do them any harm.
Well, look,
sometimes there are collateral damages, but mostly the targets are Hamas installation and Hamas leadership.
Look, we should
this
say,
is why it takes a long time.
I wonder if you would have a go at describing what you understand is the situation on the ground in Gaza at the moment.
Well, I can say that after the 1 week pause in the fighting and the exchange of the hostages back to Israel, the IDF has restarted its offensive on the major outposts of Hamas, moving from the northern part of the Strip further down to the southern part, which is apparently the primary objective for the next week or two. This is a very complex kind of a compound, very, very fortified with lots of underground tunnels and infrastructure. Possibly that's where the major headquarters of Hamas are located. And the idea is to do away with these installations over there and basically to complete as soon as possible the overall offensive or counteroffensive of Israel against Hamas.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I ask that is that the IDF has now said that they are everywhere in Gaza, that their ground operation is north, south, everywhere. And that doesn't seem to have much subtlety to it. We know that they've previously aimed their attacks at specific areas, and they've been able to tell civilians in Gaza to move to try and get out of the way. But they now say that they're everywhere in Gaza. And some of the communications between Israel's military, Israel's government, and the people on the ground in Gaza are limited. So people are confused and they don't really know where to go. Should there be more of a role for intelligence here? This is your specialist area. And simply saying that you are pretty much bombarding a strip of land completely feels a bit chaotic from the outside looking in. I wonder whether intelligence has failed here. And so Israel are going just all out to completely obliterate the Gaza Strip.
Well, this is absolutely not correct, I'm sorry to say. It's true that Israel is after the Hamas infrastructure and leadership and the terrorist organizations as well. But you have to understand that in the interest of the humanitarian issue, with regard mostly to the Palestinian population in Gaza, Israel has allocated about, I would say, a quarter or a little bit less than a quarter of the entire territory of the Gaza Strip to be a refuge area or a shelter free of fighting in the southwestern part of the Strip.
Yeah, understood. Why do you think?
Let me just finish that.
Go on.
And the population has been instructed and told to get there as soon as possible for their own safety. That's what mostly people are doing, so as to, get into shelter and to be safe from the attacks on the Hamas. We definitely want to differentiate between terrorists and the residents, civilian residents.
We don't have much time, so I am just going to press you on a few more areas.
Please do.
Why has the IDF not been successful so far in its mission to eradicate Hamas? This is potentially taking longer than planned. And if they do intend to eradicate all of Hamas, it's going to potentially take a very long time. Meanwhile, there is a strip of land here with 1.8 million displaced Palestinians who can't leave, who are effectively being pushed from pillar to post around the military operations on the ground. Why do you
Well,
think it's taken so long? Has Hamas been harder to defeat, to eradicate,
well,
do you think, than Israel forces had bargained for?
well, it takes a longer time because of a simple reason. Israel does not want to destroy the Gaza Strip, because we understand and appreciate the fact that there are 2 million people living there who are innocent and who have to be protected. That's why it takes us a longer period of time to do the job in a precise manner, like a surgical kind of an operation
Yeah.
against military targets of Hamas. This is a very, very careful kind of an operation, and it does take time. It's true. We wish that it was, sooner. We could have done it in a faster manner, but we don't do that because we understand that we are dealing with a mixed populated area with lots of civilians, and we do not want, to do them any harm.
Well, look,
sometimes there are collateral damages, but mostly the targets are Hamas installation and Hamas leadership.
Look, we should
this
say,
is why it takes a long time.
And we should say that Gaza's Hamas-run health ministry says 15,800 people have been killed so far in Israel's retaliatory campaign. I think, we have to be careful about calling that collateral damage, don't we? Really, when there are lives at stake.
I'll tell you
let's
something.
just look because
because
I have really limited time with you, and you're a fantastic person to be able to speak to, and I want to get your wisdom on this. There have been repeated warnings over the last few weeks, particularly over the weekend, from the United States, and again this evening from Jake Sullivan of the United States, who has essentially said that too many innocent civilians have died in Gaza. That's the White House National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan. We heard from Kamala Harris. We've heard from all sorts of very high-ranking people in the United States that they are concerned about the scale of response from Israel. Is a problem here that if the US remain concerned and double down on that they might withdraw their financial support of weapons and ammunitions towards Israel? Is that a tightrope that the IDF and the Israel government have to walk down?
Well, I am concerned about the civilian population in Gaza Strip. I don't know about the numbers. I don't know how many have been killed that are civilians and how many have been killed that there are terrorists. I mean, nobody knows about that. And,
over 15,000 civilians have been killed.
The civilian issue is definitely significant. And as I explained before, we are very cautious about that, and that's why it takes a longer period of time. The second thing that I'm not concerned about is the understanding of the Western world in general, the G7, United Kingdom, United States, their leadership. They understand the situation in the Gaza Strip. They understand exactly who miscalculated and caused this terrible war to happen, and that Israel has a full legitimate right to defend itself against Hamas, the terrorist organization. That's what we're going to do. And we have the understanding, the support, and appreciation of the Western world and its leaders.
Okay, so you still feel like
what Israel is doing there, and you have to understand that this is a very, very difficult, challenging situation. But I think that Israel is doing what it has to do, and it will continue to do that until we eliminate Hamas as a military organization.
Brigadier General retired Dr. Meir Elran, thank you for speaking to us, former IDF Deputy Director of Military Intelligence. Thank you for spending time with us.